Yep. It's just so cute. Look, I have another one.
Aw, little baby Brooke. Spreading her wings and flying. Ladies, how are we doing?
I'm trying
You just don't even look like you want to be here right now. She's like, I've gotten drug into for some reason. Oh, surprise!
You know, I work at the School for the Blind, and I teach kids how to use their cane. And I was telling Kelsey, that's my daughter, it would be so funny to walk in here with dark glasses and a cane.
Do it. I'd roll with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would do it. You'd be surprised what we get hit with. Where's your water, girl? Oh, it's right here. Okay. So is this Mom?
Yes.
Okay, Mom, are you excited?
I am.
Don't be scared. I'm not a scary teacher, I promise. Okay? I have no cane. I have no glasses. Okay? And you just follow me, and it's not going to look like mine, and you're going to stress out and feel like it's awful, and then you'll leave and be like, that wasn't too bad.
I think this is a great idea.
Okay.
Thank you for having us.
You're welcome. You waiting on someone? Are you waiting on anybody? Just you tonight? Okay. All right, we got a couple. She's in charge. But you also need to watch the floor. It looks like you should be okay though. There's only a couple little. Okay, we're going. Yeah. Godspeed. Hi, ladies. Do we have any boys? We do. Hi, welcome. We love it when men join us. This is a manly thing too. You know what I mean? We love it. We love it. So don't be intimidated by all these women. We're nice. Who's here for the first time? You have to be. Yeah. We have a few here. 2 hands. Are you guys? Oh, another one. Welcome, welcome. Let me turn my music down a little bit. We still have a couple of people coming in. Hi, guys. Come on in. The girls will check you out up at the front, okay? My name is Cammie. I'm going to hop on this stage because we're live tonight. So hi to all of our people at home. Every time I've gone live, something's happened. So send me your good vibes, guys. Send me your good vibes. Today we're painting Bethlehem. I'm really excited. You guys might feel a little intimidated. Let me show you my Bethlehem scene. Okay, lots of colors. My whole hope for this was that it was depicted at night, but it looked bright because it was bright that night, right? So we have the star in the sky, and then our Bethlehem scene is pretty bright. The colors are, but you can tell it's happening at night, okay? So you have all these colors on your plate, okay? So you have a lot of creative freedom with this piece, and I hope you just attack that and love it, okay? Because it shouldn't really look like mine in the end, and it won't, even if you try your very hardest. We're all different, and it's going to show in our paintings, okay? So just embrace that and have fun with it. And especially since we're color mixing, your colors are going to come off a little different than mine, okay? So don't let that stress you out either, all right? Just remember, our paint dries about a shade or two darker once on our canvas, okay? So as you're mixing on your plate, if you're like, ooh, I really love that color, add some white to it, and then it'll dry the color that you like, okay? Any questions? No? Okay. We just had a very loud 3-year-old class, so we don't really know what to do with all this calm. I'm like, oh my gosh, calm. Okay, so I have helpers. Miss Brooklyn's going to be your main helper on the floor. If you need anything, like you want a new jar of water or you need some more paint, it's a lot easier for Brooklyn to come to you than for you to try and get it yourself. So just raise your hand, okay? Also, if you have any questions, you can holler out to me during class. Did I introduce myself? I'm Cammie. Thank you. I don't know. Am I? No, I am. I'm Cammie. Okay, and you can shout out to me anytime, but most of the time that doesn't happen because you guys are like, oh, I don't want to yell out loud. So just raise your hand, and Brooklyn, she knows the techniques, and she can come help you. Okay? You guys ready? Yes. So you ready for Christmas? Are you excited? Are you nervous? This lady over here, we're going to be best friends by the end. I know it because she's just like deer in the headlights. We're good. We're going to we're going to do this. It's going to be awesome. Okay, so now I have to switch my camera. See, Sarah's better at this. Okay, so let's grab our big flat brush, okay? Biggest one at your station and get it wet, okay? So you have 2 jars of water. The point and reason for that is so that you always have clean water. So when you dilute your paint, which you're going to have to do during class, you're going to have to water it down, you want to use clean water. So kind of pick a jar that's your washing jar and keep the other ones semi-clean. Cool? Okay. All right, let's get started. Got this plate just full of fun colors. We're going to start with our sky, okay, which is a dark blue, but I want to add just a touch of white to it. Not a ton. I don't want it, all my paint is meeting together. I don't want it super light. Again, it's at nighttime, but we want it to kind of have this brightness about it. Now I'm going to start painting this is how much I mixed it, because I want streaks to appear in my sky. So I'm not going to mix super, super well. Okay, so as soon as I have that, I'm going to start painting in my sky. Okay. Purple? We're not using purple. I know. I know. It does look a little purple. There is purple on there and it gets confusing, but yeah, you want to use your blue. Okay, you want to brush horizontally. A few tips when you're doing this. Don't be afraid of your paint, okay? Load your brush thoroughly and with a good amount of paint. And if you're not able to fill in all those little grooves on your canvas very well, then you need to add water to your paint, okay? Your paint needs to be the consistency of melted ice cream always, okay? Now, as I'm painting along, I suggest to you guys to wrap your canvas if you're like me and super OCD. That means just go around your edges, okay? That way when you display it, it's a completed piece and you don't have these bright white edges kind of shining back at you. I don't know if you can tell, but there's sections of my sky that are looking a little lighter and some darker. That's because I did not mix my paint really well. So as my brush offloads, it's going to offload in these different shades of blue, okay? Now when you get to your buildings, you're going to have to brush horizontally and vertically, but then try to just kind of smooth it out so it looks like you didn't do that, okay? Do you know what I mean? So like come down, cross, and then kind of smooth it out so you don't have those lines, brush stroke lines happening. If you're just getting here, all you've missed is my amazing introduction, and we added a little bit of white to our blue, and we're filling in our sky. I actually really needed this painting today because like the crazy Christmas kind of got to me today. And this is a good painting to bring it back, right, to the true meaning. Oh, there's Sarah. See, I said, call me. I'm in a panic, and now she wants to call. Too late. I solved the problem. So you should be able to fit around your buildings pretty well with this big brush. If at all you get a little nervous about that or you want to switch it, you can switch it. You have other brushes at your station. But do what you can with the big one. It'll result in a lot less brush strokes if you use your big one, okay? If you get a little bit of blue in your buildings, it's okay. Obviously, you don't want to like cover those buildings up completely. Unless you want to take one out, which I won't be offended to just take it out. Emma might. She spent a lot of time tracing that, but it's not going to hurt my feelings if you don't like where a building is. Always remember your paint consistency as you're painting, especially these big areas. Nothing will cause you more of a headache than trying to fill in a space that won't fill in because your brush is holding on to the paint too much. Okay, so you can see how in places I went into my buildings and it might look a little choppy. Try not to stress too much about that if you can, because it's going to be fine. This is just a step, okay? And a lot of times we stress the most about that first step, and we forget that our painting is layers. And by the end, the first step's going to mean nothing to you. It's just going to be so long ago. I know that nobody's done yet, but when you are, you can wash your brush really good. That's all I'm doing right now is just giving my brush a good wash. Again, kind of pick a jar as your designated cleaning jar and try and keep the other one as clean as you can. It's okay if it gets a little dirty, but dirty water does change the overall brightness of our finished piece, okay? So that's why we want to use clean water. How you doing? Look at that thumb came right up. She's like, you didn't even know you were Picasso. Look at you over here. You're even keeping up with me. That's crazy. She's like embarrassed. I'll never do that again, I promise. Don't forget your top. You work so hard on this edge. You want to make sure that top is... Your guys' skies look fantastic. I'm super proud of everybody in this room for getting that blue on there so well. Again, check your edges before you wash your brush. Check the top of your canvas and the sides. This is just, obviously it's optional. If you don't want to wrap your canvas, it's fine. I like to make sure those edges are done, so when I go to put it on a shelf or hang it on a wall, it's all finished on all sides. What's up? Okay, how far down are you?
Well, quite a ways.
I'm trying to... Oh, you have a building right here, right?
I don't know.
Yeah. You took out one of my buildings. So we can bring it back for you, or you can omit it altogether. It's up to you.
I'll bring it back.
You bring it back. Okay, Brooklyn, we need a whole building brought back. Whole building, yeah. Yeah, she brought a snowman back from the dead earlier, so she can do it, yeah.
Is this too thick?
No,
Okay.
not at all.
But I need a dab of blue too.
Do you need some more blue? No, you're good. We all use different amounts, so there's no shame. It's the one, do you see it on top?
Thank you.
Yeah. What's up? Guys, is this building just hard? Look, most of the class has.
Big deal, but we didn't. I don't even know how. We both covered the same. We're genetic. I don't know if the. I thought it was following the line.
Oh, it's a different building. She covered this one.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I'll have our own.
So you've covered. There's one that goes right there,
Yeah.
right in that space. Okay.
Do you want it? If you think it would wipe off, if not, we'll just live with it. We have the same genetics.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you're not even sitting next to each other. Okay, she'll help you. It might still be a little bit blue, but then the colors will cover it. We do 2 layers on the colors. Okay, we're going to flick some stars, okay? So you're going to need your toothbrush. Just a heads up, I'm going to paint at the pace of a 2-hour class, and some of you are going to be more like a 5-hour class pace, okay? Okay, but I'm going to keep with a 2-hour, okay? So if you feel like you're getting behind, just know we're going to help you finish, and you're not going to get kicked out till you are done, okay? So also remember our 60% rule. We move on when we're 60% happy, okay? That way we're not stuck on a step waiting for perfection that's not going to come, okay? All right, so get your toothbrush and get it in your clean water, okay? So swish that toothbrush around in your clean water. The trick to a good splatter is a good paint consistency. If it's too wet, your stars will just run down your canvas. If it's too thick, you'll try and flick and nothing will happen. Okay, so you're going to want to loosen up your paint. Dip your brush in your water. Come over to some white paint, and I just start scrubbing my plate. And I'll dip in the water again. And you see I've got, basically it's a puddle of water here. Can see that consistency. Okay. And then you kind of pull your arm back a ways and you flick by pulling the thumb towards you, okay? And you go across your canvas. So my thumb is coming towards me. I've gripped my paint or my toothbrush and I go all the way across just like that. It looks easy, but flicking can sometimes drive people crazy. So when you start, don't go right up against your canvas. Stand back or pull your arm back a minute. And if nothing's coming off your brush, you know you need water. If too much is coming off your brush, you know you need to kind of pull your wrist back a little bit. Okay? So this is how I hold it as I approach my canvas. Then I flick it across. Now if you look at the original piece, there's some big stars. See that? We're going to add those later. So you're just getting a little sprinkle on your canvas right now. Okay? So you don't want to like over star. You just want some of those background stars in there. And then we'll put some big ones in later. Okay? So just wipe your thumb on your apron, on the tablecloth. Just kind of swish that toothbrush out a minute and set it aside. Okay? How'd we do, guys? Did anybody get a shooting star tonight? Those are always the fun ones, yeah, the shooting stars. Remember, we have palm trees coming. They cover up stars really well, okay? Done that before. All right, we're going to start with our buildings now. So you can follow me exactly with my building colors, or you can go rogue and do what you want, okay? We're going to start getting these in. Notice the windows aren't traced on your canvas. Those are up to you. Isn't that fun? I think, Emma, yeah, we put one in for you. That's so generous of her. She put, she put that one in there for you. So kind. Okay. So you're going to want to use your red handled brush. It's a nice squared off brush, okay? And that'll help us just kind of get those squares in, okay? So just use the shape of your brush. So all of these colors on our plate, I've added brown to because we're talking like, right, back in the day colors. How you doing? She's giving me so many thumbs up. I'm surprised you don't from her. That was like golden opportunity, Mom. Okay, so I'm going to start with orange, and I'm going to just get my color and then fill all the buildings in that I want orange, okay? So to do that, I'm going to get a scoop of orange, scoop of brown, and I'm just going to start mixing, okay, until I am happy with the color. Like I said at the beginning, this is just going to be up to you because when we color mix, everyone's going to get a different result. I also add a little bit of white. White is your best friend for coverage. Yeah. So I just add more orange if I want it brighter, which I do. It got a little too brown on me. Remember, it dries a shade or two darker, so that's why you want to add that white in there. Okay, and I'm happy with that color. It's kind of like a rusty color. And then I'm going to fill in all the buildings that I want that color. Again, follow right with me or choose different ones. This one right here is going to be that color. I switched to my red. Yeah, this is my medium. You can use your big if you're feeling adventurous. Now, all of our buildings are going to have 2 coats of paint. So don't waste your time trying to get this perfect coverage with no brush strokes by painting over and over again. Just fill in a building and move on. You can use it all. Yeah, you won't need it. I don't think. I could be wrong and then I'll get you more orange, but okay, so that one. All right, let's see. I have this. My tallest building is orange as well. This is one that some of you lost. So use the shape of your brush. And if you kind of get paint into the other buildings, it's okay. Don't stress about those kinds of things. It's going to be all right. Continue to use your water as needed to kind of loosen up that paint. So I have this big orange building too that's right behind that one with the curved roof. I can tell we're all painting buildings. I don't know what it is about buildings and straight lines, but everybody's silent. It's like, don't want to mess up these lines here. Don't forget to breathe. It's like trying to jog and talk at the same time. I'm like, I can't do that. It is. It's my only form of exercise, so it's gotta. I'm sure I have some strong hands. Let's check it. Nice job. You can wash your brush when you're done with the orange. Mm-hmm. You can also pull it up on your phone. It's on our website or our Instagram channel. Yeah, you can like screenshot it and then have it there. Yeah. Remember, this is just a layer, right? It's just the first layer. Your buildings aren't going to look done because they're not done, okay? Okay, I think most of us have those in. So just make sure you wash your brush really thoroughly between colors so that you're not contaminating other colors, okay? All right, I'm gonna wash my brush out. You can even rinse it in your clean water to just be sure that there's no color in there you don't want in there. All right, I think I'm gonna do my purple building next. So again, I just pull some purple to a place on my plate that I can see what's going on. Your plate's gonna get super messy as we're mixing. If you feel overwhelmed with it at any point and need another plate, just ask Brooklyn, okay? So purple, scoop of brown, same thing. Mix it together and then add some white. And because we're doing 2 layers on all of our buildings, it's going to be really easy to either lighten or dim the second layer if we choose that we're not happy with it after all. That second layer will help, okay? So you kind of get this plum color, this dirty plum color. I only have one. No, I have 2. That one is, I have 2. I have 2 purples. So this one right here. And purple's like our most shy color. So it's the one that you're going to see the most streaks. But again, don't forget, we're going to do another layer. It'll make sense in your mind to just put the paint on thicker and thicker in order to cover it up and brush over it more and more. That actually will start to remove the paint from your canvas, so don't do that. I did add white. Yeah, I'll add white to all my colors. White is super important. It's the most pigmented, so it'll give us the most coverage. And again, your buildings, if you don't add white, will come off quite dark as they dry. Okay, so this little building back here is also purple. Again with the purple, don't feel overwhelmed by how little it's covering your canvas. Let it be. And you can do more purple buildings if you want. If you're really liking that purple, you can add some additional purple buildings.
I got my glasses. My husband just brought them.
Oh wow, that's a good man. Where did he come from?
Just over down the street.
Okay. You live down the street and you've never been in here before?
I'm coming every week.
You better. You're going to have a whole wall of paintings. How are we doing, ladies? Good? Okay, I'll do my green next. Same combination. It's going to be green, brown, and some white. So every time I mix a new color, those are the colors I'm going to use, okay? I get a scoop of green, some brown. A little bit of white. Alright, so now you're going to pick your buildings that will be green. I have 2 green buildings. Here's the color. Oh, you can't really tell. I would say it's more in like a sage. That's how light I went with mine. Okay, so this building, oh maybe not. Maybe it's olive now that it's hit the canvas. Remember, it's going to be 2 layers too. So that next layer, you can, if you want it to be more green, you can add more green. If you want it to be lighter, you can add more white. All these fun colors are going to just brighten this up. So I've got a little skinny green building here too. And those are my only 2 green buildings. So I mixed the green, brown, and a little bit of white. So yeah, there'll always be that combination as you go. we doing over here? Look at you. You're.
This right here.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize it's going to bleed down. Should I just do a green right there?
Yeah, you could add another building. Yeah, I don't know that I would do green because it's going to compete with the purple.
Should I just come over with that one?
You could do orange as well, yeah. Or you could wait till I get into like the cream colors. They're going to cover it more.
All right.
Trying to cover a color is hard, but the whites and creams will cover it better.
Okay, I'll wait.
Okay. Nice job, bud. Looks awesome. Okay, I'm going to start to confuse you guys a ton now because we've got some different cream colors happening, okay? So this is like a yellow, white with a little bit of brown. And then I go into, maybe I'll show you over here since the light is on there. These are just brown and white, but then I go a little bit darker with the brown, okay? So I'm going to just kind of play with my yellows, browns, and whites now. Some of them are going to lean. This one's almost white. I've kept it pretty light. Do you need some help? Okay. Brooklyn. This cute lady in the Santa hat. Almost said snowman hat. I'm stuck in snowman still. Yeah, it's all like snowman. Okay, so I'm going to tell you as I go, but just so you know, we're going to kind of get to the point where you're just going at your own color. I'm actually going to make them separate because I'm going to do another layer. So I'm going to kind of, this one right here is probably the only one that I'm not going to need another layer for. And I'll probably do that last because I'll start the floating with that one. So we'll probably start with our dark yellows and then do our browns. Okay? Okay, so let's go with some yellow. I'm going to get a scoop of yellow and some white first. Okay. I'm going to try and get, sometimes the light will glare pretty bad on wet paint this time of day. And then I'm going to do a touch of brown, just a little bit, because I want pretty light building at this point. Again, if you need a new plate, just raise your hand. I know it's going to get really full with all this color mixing. So this is the color I'm going to go with. It's almost a sandy color, okay? Might even go a little more white and yellow. All right. This big building on this side of my canvas. Now, anytime you hit the edge of your canvas, you want to remember to wrap it, okay? So this is the first building that we've hit the edge of our canvas with. Yep. Yeah, the brown is going to kind of muddy your colors so that it has that sort of old feel to it instead of super, super bright. Okay, so then I've got this building next to my tallest orange building. I'm also going to put in this color. there's a teeny little hint of a building. If you haven't lost it, I'm going to do that one this yellow too. It's just right underneath a green. It's in between a green and an orange here. And it's just kind of peeking right there. If you've lost that building, it's okay. Or if you've decided to do something else with it, but it's just right there. Can't wait to see all of these. I see a lot of personal touches. That's awesome. Love it when you guys do that. Miracle.
Don't go back there because you can't go.
It's blocked off. All right, these look great. I'm going to do 2 shades of brown like this, like I did with the yellow. I've got my darker yellow, and then this one will be my lighter. I'm going to get a scoop of brown and some white. So it's not, I say dark brown, it's just darker than my other ones. You're almost making like a grayish brown. So here's the shade that I'm going to use. I'll put the original piece in because it's dry and you won't have the same shine. It's this building right here. Yeah. So I didn't add any yellow, it's just brown and white. Okay. And this very far right building will be this color. Just brown and white. And then I'm going to as well paint this building. I'm going to overlap it a little bit over my green building, just a little bit. And you don't have to, but I like that little overlap right there so it doesn't fall straight onto my yellow building. I overlap it slightly. almost done. We're filling in the space. It's looking awesome. So again, the latest building I've done is just brown and white. Okay, just these two right here. Just mix some brown and white together. And I'm not going to wash my brush. I'm just going to take the brown and white that's on there and then make a super light brown. It's almost white. Super, super light brown. So I just kind of, again, before I washed the brown off my brush from my brown that I mixed, I just got a scoop of white and kind of took all that brown that was on my brush and mixed it into a scoop of white, because these buildings are going to be that color and they're just going to be a very, very light brown. They're going to look white on the screen, okay, but we're going to start to add some things to it. So it's this building right here, this one and this one, very, very light brown, okay. So I've painted this building, although it doesn't look like it, and I'm going to paint this one up here. Totally fine. It's your painting. Well, and you can leave it too. It's, yeah, you don't have, your result should not look like mine. It should look like yours. Yeah, if you like it, you leave it. I always tell people I taught a giraffe class once and someone left with a rhino. And that's totally fine. Now after you paint those two super light brown buildings, just leave the paint on your brush, because we're going to start to add the character to those. Because of the color that it is, that super light, that white is going to give it good coverage and we won't have to do 2 coats on that. So these 2 buildings right here, these light brown ones, after you get the paint on them, don't wash your brush, okay? Or whatever buildings you're painting that color, or if you are at all. Good. So far, so good. I feel like coming. You ready? I know. That's how it is this time of year. Okay, let me see what percentage of my room is with me here. Again, I've left the light brown on my brush, okay? So I'm going to start to add shadows, shading, and character, because these lighter buildings don't need 2 coats of paint. Okay, so here's my brush. There it is. Here's my brush. I'm going to put some dark brown on a corner of my brush. So it's got all of that light brown on it, and now I just put some dark brown on a corner. Okay, now these buildings are shadowed, right? So I'm going to take that brown edge and I'm going to start creating a shadow, okay? So I'm following the buildings in front with that dark edge. Okay, and then I'm just going to blend it in. I want it to kind of look kind of streaky. Put a little on the tip of your brush and then pull. Look, I'm going to pull from the bottom. Let's see if I can show you this. I'll try and paint left-handed. So I'm going to pull from the bottom up like that, okay? And I'm going to do that along where it's shadowed and create sort of this shadowy, look at the original piece, You see how it has brown kind of being pulled up? Okay. Not yet, no. I know I got a little crazy because I wanted to get this building while it was wet. So I'm going to kind of pull up and create this shadow. The trick to this is make sure your paint is still wet. Go back to your lighter color if you need to. And you can brush down to meet it if you got a little too crazy, okay? But you just want the shadowy look. Can you guys see what's happening? It'll show up a little more when I do some of my, I'm pulling up. So I've got, yep, I'm pulling it up. And again, if you pull up too much, switch over and pull your white back down. So wipe the dark brown out and pull the lighter brown back down if you, okay? So I'm going to do both buildings that are that color. So I'm going to come and do this one over here. And just kind of pull kind of a shadow happening, okay? And I jump back and forth between my lighter if I need to kind of come back down through it. We're going to be doing this with all the buildings, so just get familiar with this technique. It's just kind of pulling the paint and creating some shadow happening, okay? Remember, your windows aren't on there yet, so if you think, oh, this looks like it's too much shadow or it's not, I'm not feeling it, your windows are going to cover some space up. So just kind of give it that shadow, okay? Just kind of pull up. You want to press, your brush stroke needs to be, you need to press hard on it at the base of your stroke, and then as you come up, you kind of start to pull away. I kind of call it feathering, but you want to use all your bristles, not just a corner. You want to use all of them and just kind of pull up, okay? And when they're all finished and they all have this look to them and the windows are in and you've got your palm trees in front of it, it's going to make more sense. It's kind of hard to understand it right now, okay? I'm going to do it to all of them, but so far I've just done my light brown ones, okay? Once I've done the light brown ones, I'm going to start to do all the buildings from the one I started with. No, this one didn't need to.
But the others you'll do second
Yeah.
coats first.
Yeah, I haven't done second coat. You want to do a second coat on all the buildings, starting with the one you did first, which is what, our orange ones, right? So we're going to put another layer of orange, and while that building is wet, we'll shadow with dark brown, okay?
Have you already done your 2 coats?
No, no. No, I'm going to put another coat in, and because that's when you want to shadow. The dark brown. We're going to use the dark brown for shadowing on all of our buildings except our lightest one that I haven't done yet, okay? So this building I haven't done yet. It's okay. We're going to leave it for a minute, okay? So I'm going to start with my orange building. So if you kind of missed the shadowing part, you can see it with this building I'm going to put in first here. So I'm going to add another layer of paint, which should go on quite easy, the second coat, because the main one's in there. Okay, now I'm going to add that brown to the tip of my brush. I'm going to start pulling that brown in, okay? Little bits at a time. And I want my brush stroke, some of it I'm going to pull up higher than others. Okay, some of it I'm going to leave quite low. I'm just going to pull, and I can pull down as well if I feel like the dark kind of took over. I can pull down. Uh-huh. Every once in a while, I like to add white to my brush, especially these buildings way up at top, and highlight the top of them. Okay, and this is weird because we're doing it all so quickly. The reason is because I want to catch it before it dries. Okay, so I'm going to lighten the tops of some of my buildings. So I'll go horizontally with a brush stroke to kind of lighten the tops. And then I come down with some of my dark brown and I put in my shadow. You're trying to make these buildings look worn, right? And rustic. So kind of embrace that. Embrace the streaks and all that's happening. And every building's going to look a little bit different, and that's what we want. So you can see I did a little bit of light at the top by just putting some white on my brush with that orange being wet, and it blended in this nice little light because the star in the sky. And then I did some brown along where the other buildings will be shadowing, okay? So we're getting that rustic look in, okay? Biggest thing, guys, is that you play with it. Maylee, can you help this nice guy on the end right here? Play with it. Keep moving your brush around. Pull it up, pull it down to the side as you get that rustic look happening throughout your buildings, okay? I'm going to do another layer on my other orange ones now and continue the process. Even the buildings that are closest to our foreground will have shadows at the base from our little hill going across them. So you'll want to add that as well, even if they don't have a building in front of them. So I'll pull in some white kind of at the top of the building. Blend it in. If your paint is wet, everything should blend in pretty well. Okay. And then I'll pull in some of my dark brown. Don't be afraid if the two lights and the darks mix together. Okay. Trying to create an old feel. Again, little bits of white to your brush when you want to add light somewhere to your buildings, particularly along the tops that will be affected by that star in the sky that we're going to put in later. And just brush it in. And then add those shadows. I find that if my brush is a little bit less wet, so I don't add water when I'm doing these steps, it just kind of flows on better. It gets kind of that nice streaky feel to it, comes off a little better if I don't have a really wet brush. So So just think about your shadows. Where would they be? If a building's in front of me, my shadow's going to kind of be on the top, right? Where that other building's line is. If I'm in front and there's one off the side, I'm going to shadow the side too, okay? How are we doing with this? Oh, you've got it. Remember, there's gonna be windows, okay? So what you're seeing right now is just this blob of color with these streaks in it that are probably bugging you. Looks good. You need to wait till you have the windows, wait till you have the palm trees, wait till you have the full completed piece, okay? But keep in mind, once your paint hits that sticky phase and you start to brush over it too much, it'll pull your paint up instead of lay it down. So you got to remember that 60% rule. You have to remember, okay, I'm okay with this. I'm going to move on and leave it. And if you're like totally not happy with it, remember to let it dry and then go back to it, okay? All right, I'm going to do my purples next. Remember, I'm probably going to paint faster than you with some steps. But if you're still confused at the process, you can watch as I do my purple. I'm going to do another layer of paint. All right, that's my first step. Let's put more paint on it. And now I have options here to lighten the top and shadow the base. So first I'll lighten the top by putting some white on just a corner of my brush, and that stroke I will do horizontal as I go across the top of my building. Okay, so this stroke is horizontal, side to side, and I'll pull it down and just kind of lighten the top of the building, okay? And then I'll start to work with my browns, and I'll start to shadow that base. I can do a good horizontal stroke around the base of it with the brown first, and then I can kind of pull up the brown. It can go into the white, no problem. Okay, this building's really tricky for you guys to see because it's right in the light. You want to mess with those vertical and horizontal strokes. Okay, let me show you. Let's see if I can get an angle without the light. Do you see that purple building? There we go. Do you see how I'm going up sometimes and sometimes I'm going across? Okay, you don't have to do the same stroke the whole time. These buildings are worn, they're old. Okay, you want to depict that. It's not going to be this perfect. So pull some of it up, pull some of it to the side. My purple building is fairly light because it's not shadowed with all the other buildings, okay? So you got to keep that in mind too. Okay, so we have another purple building too, so I'll do my other one. It's just a little one up here. Smaller ones are less intimidating because they're not right in the forefront of everything. So a little bit of white to kind of lighten the top of my building. Yep, I just add white to let me show you my brush. I just add a little bit of white to a corner of my brush, so not the whole brush, and then I just kind of brush it across the top. Pretty quick little step there. Then I'll start to add the shadow around the base. And again, with the shadow, you can just follow it horizontally, all your buildings. And then you can pull up some brown. Or you can just keep that one like line horizontally across all your buildings and not do the pull-up thing if you don't like that look or it's too stressful for you. Okay, so I'm going to do green next. Remember, 60%. You're just going to move on. Allow the piece to be completely finished before you judge it, okay? I'm going to do another layer of green. Okay, and then I start to do the process again. A little bit of white, brush it across the top of my building. Give it some light. And you can brush that white down as far as you want. You can make it super streaky. And then some brown. And start to add that shadow. So I like to kind of put that shadow line in and then pull it up. Remember, not too much moisture in your brush. You can see the buildings start to kind of come to life a little bit. Also remember you're sitting super close to your painting for 2 hours. Okay? It does help once you step away later, so put the light at the top of our building. Yeah, wait. Next year. Next year's. How are we doing, guys? Remember, it's not going to look like mine or your neighbors. Don't use that comparison. Just go as you are happy with it, or that good old 60%. Got my dark yellow building. I'll put a quick another layer in. This building doesn't need a ton more paint. But I'm actually, with this building, going to go all the way around it with the corner of my brush in brown. So it kind of stands out a little bit more. And that's what I mean by you can kind of choose on some of these buildings, you know, how much you're going to mess with the light. This one right here has got a tree in front of it. Eventually it will be. But then I'll just kind of brush in some of that dark that's left on my brush. That's another tip. I like to just use what's left on my brush and scuffle it in. And then it just offloads these little streaks instead of these big clumps of paint, okay? There's some parts of paintings that are just a matter of like filling it instead of really understanding it, or for me to explain it to you. And I feel like this is one of those things where it's like you just have to work with your paint and fill it out and learn that those pressure points, you know, more pressure on your brush is going to yield a different result. So I'm just working through my buildings. I've got my darker brown buildings now. Put another layer on and do the same thing. I don't know what's happening over there, but it sounds fun. That's You're like my kids when they get home from school. They're just crazy. I'm like, you guys are just as excited as they are. I think I have a lot of teachers in the room tonight. I don't blame you one bit. I mean, I do have those moments where I'm like, why can't they just stay in school a little bit longer? I do try to like sabotage you poor people, but like, just go to school. Are you serious? Yeah, that's what my daughter said.
The elementary kids out fast enough. They were out of there. They were done. They were done.
Okay, so I've got my buildings, all but this lighter one in the front where I want them, okay? So, kind of lighten, shadow. I have some of my younger artists. This dude over here, he just flew through that, didn't you, bud? He's like 60%. I'm at 100. What's this? That's awesome. How you doing, girl? Remember, you just want kind of that rustic feel to them, okay? Play with it, and you'll be surprised in the end when you step back as a whole, it's going to make more sense. You're too close to it right now, Brooklyn. Up, honey. Oh, well then get some of your lighter on the brush, this color, and meet it.
Oh, okay.
Does that make sense? And then make sure you stop at different points. So maybe on one stroke you come down further. Maybe at another one you stop sooner. Does that make sense? Okay, let me grab that plate from you. Yeah. You're welcome. I know you guys don't believe me, but these look really good. I always say that, and people are like, you have to say that. It's true. I wouldn't walk around and be like, these look terrible, but but I'm impressed. This is kind of a hard piece, I'll admit. You picked a hard piece to come paint, but this was as simple as I could get Bethlehem. I tried. I've been trying for like 3 years. No pressure, but we're going to have to move on in a second. Otherwise, I'm going to have parents show up to pick up kids, and I'm going to be still on the buildings. Just remember, I won't kick you out till you're done. What's that? Did you ask me a question? No. Okay. I know you guys were right with me too for a hot minute. I think I have one artist that's with me. This guy right here. That's okay though. They have like plates and plates. Okay.
Right now? Oh, thank you.
Yep. How you doing, Megan? They look very rustic. That's what you're going for, right?
Oh, good, yeah. I can't tell.
You're usually my gauge of whether to move on or not.
Oh, good.
But you need to be more with me here, Megan.
I'm trying.
No pressure.
No pressure. Hurry up, though.
No, I'm just teasing. This is buildings are hard. What's up? Yeah, Maylee, can you bring a new paper towel over here?
Me too.
And right here. Megan and this guy over here, just bring a stack of paper towels and walk around the room. Figure out who needs them. Okay, I'm going to work on my lightest building, the one that hasn't been touched yet. This one right here. I'm going to take the yellow building color and just add white to it and make it super light. Huh? This girl in the red shirt. So I took the color that I used for these yellow buildings and I just added more white to it. So it's super, super light. And then I'm going to fill it in. Yeah. And it's going to be like the brown, light brown one. You're not going to really be able to tell I'm doing anything. I took my yellow building color and just added a bunch of white. So there's like a hint of yellow in it. And then I'll take the rest of the yellow building color and put that, I'll mix a little more here. I want this dark yellow color to kind of shade and shadow. See, we're going to go across, and it's got that dome kind of look on it. This is just on half of my brush. We're going to add some black lines to these buildings too. So if you're feeling like, oh, these are just really choppy looking, we'll clean it up a little bit. So don't be too concerned with that. This one I don't add any shadow to the base or anything. I like to keep this one really light. Okay, so I know that's hard to see, so I'm going to put this one in. Let's see. It's just kind of got a little shadow going underneath that, and I kind of went around the top as well on the side, okay? Well, I guess you can see it once it starts drying, but and those are our buildings other than the windows, which we're going to do last because that's going to be a whole new thing. And we're going to put our whole scene in, and then we'll do windows so you can kind of place them how you like, okay? So get that super light yellow building in there. Again, I didn't shadow the base of that building or anything. Is this wet? You want me to try and take that off?
Sure.
We would be coloring over it. Oh, we did. We filled it in. Did you catch that part? Mm-hmm. So you want to just lighten like this color. Yeah. Perfect. Like take your, yeah, any of this will work. I just lightened this even and filled it in. Okay.
Sweet.
Yeah. Yeah, it should. Awesome, guys. We're going to work on our sandy base here of our canvas. Got kind of like this sand hill coming up against Bethlehem. See it down there at the bottom. That's what our cute little trees are sitting on. All right, we're going to work on that next. Yeah, palm trees. So listen, I want you to know that at any time you can take away a step, okay? I've painted palm trees many times, and some people just don't want the palm trees. Maybe they like just their buildings, okay? So know that that's up to you at any point. If you don't want to do the palm trees, you can just start the windows, okay? It's just black paint. But I'm going to add palm trees. I kind of liked that layering happening, kind of pushed the buildings to the background. All right, let's see. Our sandy color, what I chose to do, because I still wanted to depict this as happening at night, so I didn't want this bright sand, but I didn't want it too dark either. I'm going to use my brown and yellow and some white as well. You don't want it to match the buildings that it's going to be sitting, that are going to be kind of sitting on this sand, okay? So for example, this building right here, you don't want the color to be too close to that. She's so engrossed in her painting. So this is the color that I'm going to go with. Okay, and I'm going to pull it. You're going to want to paint the edges of your canvas and the bottom as you want. So it kind of ends over here. I don't pull it all the way across my canvas, which might seem kind of weird. But artists do that a lot. They kind of throw it off a little bit so that it's not this perfect pattern happening. So just kind of fade it off towards the end. Yeah. And again, you can wrap the edge of your canvas, and then you can also do the base of your canvas as much as you'd like. It's kind of an ugly color when you think about it. Yeah, this lady, I think, in the pink hoodie. Are you the one that said yellow? Yeah. Her cute little, can I get some yellow over there? You gotta yell at us in here. Bring me some yellow now. What's up? I mixed brown, yellow, and white until I got a color that was different than the yellow building sitting there. Call Dad. Just gonna stay. Before I wash that color off of my brush, I'm going to add a little bit of layering to that sand by putting my brush in a dark brown. And then I'm going to follow the top of my sand with that edge of dark brown. Okay, so I'm going to follow it using all my bristles. Okay, so just follow the top. All the way across your canvas. So that you kind of have a darker top happening. The top of your sand is nice and dark. And then I'll add another little indication of a hill of sand happening. And this one will just kind of fade off too. Okay, so let me show you in the screen here, the original piece. So you have the top of your sand is a little bit darker. And then this one, we put in another layer because our palm trees are going to kind of be behind this layer. And so then we put another one in and it kind of fades off as well. Okay. So you want to do that before you wash that color out of your brush. And while your paint is wet, that way it'll blend in there for you. Phew, so much is happening. So many good things. I hope you guys get a chance before you leave to see some of these Bethlehem scenes, because it's so fun to stand up here and look out at all the different ones. It looks so cool from here. I like my vantage point. Okay, we're going to do our palm trees next. So again, if you're into the palm tree idea, follow me. If you're like not feeling the palm trees, work on your windows, okay? Those are just black, and you can put them in wherever you want. If you want to put them in exactly where I put them, but you can't see the painting on the shelf over here, you can look it up on your phone. It's on our Instagram page or our website. You can look at it there. But I'm going to do palm trees, guys. So you're going to want a detail brush, get it wet, and believe it or not, our palm trees are going in black first. So I'm going to loosen up my black with water and my littlest brush. Okay. I love palm trees. You got to just let it go, guys. All attention. Don't paint palm trees slowly. Okay. If you try and do all your fronds super slow, it's not going to look natural, okay? So I'm literally, you can see I'm taking a good minute to loosen up my black paint to that melted ice cream, because I'm about to do lines, and nothing is harder than doing lines with thick paint. Okay, so I've got 4 palm trees. I know it's crazy I did even. That's really rare for me. But I've got 2 on each side, but they are different heights. So I'm going to start with my first one. Start at the top of my canvas, and I'm going to just kind of do a curved line all the way down to where it's going to stop, okay? Everybody laughs when I do this step. They're like, yeah, no. So just put, look, it's not a perfect line because you're going to build upon it, okay? So now I'm going to build upon this line while you guys laugh at me. I know how difficult this is. I have been at different levels myself, and I know how scary it is. That's why I say you gotta just kind of go for it. Get wider at the base, obviously, so your tree can be held up by something. Just black, yep. This is why I said if you want to omit these, you can. Because going over all these buildings that you just worked hard on is a really hard thing to do. Some of us want to cover our buildings. Not feeling sad about that. Okay, if it's kind of yep, detail brush. So I just keep building up on this, and it doesn't have to be perfectly straight. Okay. In fact, you don't want it to be. That's kind of, you don't want to have this perfect tree happening. My other one is going to be shorter. I'm going to put that one in. Figure out where I want it to start, and then come down. thicken the base. Remember that little detail we put in our sand? These are kind of sitting behind it. Okay, so you kind of set them so they're kind of sneaking up behind there. Okay, so stop for just a minute and watch how I put in my branches, okay? You're almost going to make a starfish, okay? You're going to bend one way, okay? And then you kind of start to go straight, and then you bend the other direction, okay? Okay, so start at the top, bend to your right, kind of have one that kind of starts to go straight, and then you bend to the left. Huh? Yeah, mine are, yeah. If you look at the original, I've got a couple at the top that go over it. If yours are shorter, though, it's totally fine. Yeah. Okay, when you start to put those leaves in, you're going to curve down. They're hanging down, okay? This is when I mentioned don't go slow. This is that part, okay? If you go super slow with each one of these, your hand's going to shake, and they're not going to have that natural sort of flick to them. So just naturally bend down. You guys have all seen palm trees, right? Maybe not enough, but we've seen them. Some of these palm trees, I'm just going to focus on hanging leaves. On some of them, I'm going to put a few peeking out the other side. See that? How this one's just hanging and everything's falling down towards the ground. This one almost has that feather look where some of them are peeking over the other side. Okay? So your choice on that. And it just kind of depends on your palm tree and that branch or frond, help me. I hate that word. I always get it. What does it mean? Is it D or G? Frond? Okay, whatever. It's a branch to me. And go one way or the other. I just think it's the weirdest word, and it ruins painting palm trees for me. I'm always like, I'm not saying it, and then I have to say it. It's pretty awesome because out of nowhere, you'll start to have a palm tree. And it's like, what? That funky starfish turns into a palm tree. You can see the one that kind of went straight up. It kind of looks more like a feather. You kind of picture that one kind of blowing towards you, and it would all like fan out, okay? And really, you just fill in that space as you see necessary, okay? And we're just going to keep going here. Again, make sure your paint is diluted. If it's thick like Elmer's glue, you're not going to get that flick that you need for these. And trust me, 80% of this is muscle memory for me, okay? Got to know the pressure, so don't be too hard on yourself. Let your palm trees be what they are today, because the more you practice, the better they'll get. And I know everybody's coming back, so we're going to get to paint again. This one said she's going to be here every week, so gonna watch for you. Be new best friends. She's like, that was before palm trees. Now I'm never returning. Don't worry about the center of that tree. We're going to put some coconuts there because I always think the center of my palm trees looks kind of weird. So if you're like, what do I do about that center? We're going to take care of it. So that's my left side of the canvas. On the right side, I'm going to do 2 more. I want this one that went off the canvas to be my tallest one, though. I don't want to have another one taller than that. So I just want to make sure I don't steal the thunder there. So you guys are pros now. You know what to do. Put your trunk in there. This one's not sitting on anything. It's going off of our canvas. I don't know how I'm going to get to that side of my easel. My other one is super short, but it connects at the base to my big one. So it comes down and it just kind of connects right there. Kind of cute. They're friends. Again, place them the same spot, do something different, you're painting, right? That's creative freedom, and we love that. If you've ever seen palm trees blowing in the wind too, like I always tell people when you're painting nature, it's not perfect. That's the beauty of it. And so if a branch looks a little different than all the others, it's supposed to look different than the others. You don't want all your branches to be exactly the same. Sometimes when I'm done, I decide there needs to be another one, another branch, so I put it in there. Okay, guys, before I wash the black off my brush, I'm actually going to put a line. I'm going to go around some of my buildings. You can see I did the tops and then the right side. Okay, the ones in front, I did a little bit more. The one in the very front, I outlined completely. This is a step you can omit if you want, but I think it cleans up your buildings a little bit, and I want to do that real quick. I'm just going to come around the tops and then the right side of my buildings. Kind of like an additional indication of a shadow. Give our trees a minute to dry, and then we'll add some fun little details to them before we put our windows in. Paint consistency, guys, super important. Who's trying to convince their friend that there's a windstorm? Don't judge it. It's a windstorm. It's fine. Again, the purple building in the front, I do outline the whole thing just because it's in the very front of everything. Can even fill in that one little window or door that's in there for you while you're at it, just to give that, like, hey, some of you might already be working on your windows. I bet you did, bud. You're awesome. I know, he's like, I've been done for the last 20 minutes. Kids just don't critique themselves like we do as adults. Okay. Wash your brush really good, and let's do our star. Okay. I like to start, I'm using my detail brush. I like to start with a good dot. So I'll use the bottom of my brush and just make a dot where I want that star to be. And I suggest you not center it, just so that you don't end and look at your painting and be like, what's wrong? It's probably because your star is center. So once you have that main dot in there where you want your star, loosen up your white paint. And then we're going to make that star. So just kind of go right through that line or that dot. So that the tail is going to be longer, right? So you're going to make a cross. And then an X right in the center of that cross. And there's your bright star. And this is that point if you want to add those bigger stars I told you about in the beginning. Just flip your brush over and you can add some bigger stars with the bottom of your brush. I just like that mix of little teeny ones and then some big ones clustered around. Maybe you love your flicked stars so much you're not going to add any big ones. And that's cool too. Yeah, I'm just dotting in some bigger ones. Cluster some of them. That's what makes them look like stars and not snow. If you kind of cluster them, stars are more clustered. Okay. These are so cool, you guys. Oh, sorry, we're gonna go over by about 15 at least. Well, I'm gonna be done in 15, is all I'm saying. I'm gonna do the windows last because the kiddos will put them in fast and then they can go.
Boy, he's already done with his windows.
I know, he's like, looks great. Nice palm trees, girl. I know. I knew it. Every time I paint palm trees or clouds, people are like, ew, no. Skipping them. What's up, girl? Did you hear that, Brooklyn? Thanks, girl. Okay, I'm going to get my flat brush, and I'm going to put some of any mixture of my light brown. You've got lots. Just pick one. And I'm just going to go up and down my palm trees. You don't want a ton of paint on your brush, but you're just going to kind of make like a smiley face. Like you're kind of curving your brush stroke, okay? And go up your palm tree like that. Again, flat brush. You want it dry, not full of water. And then you're just going to lightly scuff in some smiley face motions. I've got a little white on my brush just because of where the paint was when I loaded it, and that's fine with me, so I'm not going to change that. Yeah, it's just one of my browns. I think I ended up picking my sand color. Any light brown that you have on your plate that you want to use. Then I'm just going to go, again, when you brush it in, just kind of curve your brush like you're doing a little smile, and then it'll indicate that that palm tree is round. On some of those strokes, you can go all the way across your tree. On some of them, you can focus on the center. On some of them, you can focus on one side. Just be sure to kind of make that curvy. Oh, there's Sarah again. She's like panic mode. I know, she's like, well, she probably thinks she should know. She should know I'm teaching. Do you really care when you're at Disneyland? Be like, she probably just noticed I called. Funny thing though, I ended up getting a hold of her son. I was like, which is the one I needed to talk to anyway. I'm like, tell me what's going on. If at any point you're like, this color is too bright, your palm trees are black, so you can go back and kind of bring some of it back if you want to. Okay, we are home stretch, friends. I know we're feeling a little bit tense everywhere. Okay, we're just going to add some green to our trees. Okay, and then you can start your windows. Get those in. Okay, and then you're done. You've painted Bethlehem, and congratulations, because that's quite a lot of work. I am going to find the color or remake the color of my green buildings. Okay, which for me, I have some right here. I might need a little more, so I'm going to make a little more. Mix it. Remember that was green, brown, and a little bit of white. I had some blue with my green, so now I have like a sea color. All right. Okay, remember to add some white. Oh, it's too much white. Okay, what you're going to do is you're going to go over your palm fronds, but you're going to remember your black is your shadow, okay? So you don't want to cover the black. That's like the depth of it. See how we just kind of go over it with that green, but we leave some of that black so we can see it. As you're going, you can add little bits of white to your brush too. You can see that I've got some lighter strokes in there. If you want to do that, you can add little bits of white. This cute lady. How you doing? You doing okay? Yeah. I love it. Okay, so that's what you're going to do. Leave that black as your shadow, as your background, and just kind of put in almost like a shorter brush stroke of your green, okay? Add white as you go if you want. Make sure, sometimes I have to start to see if my green is the right shade up against the black because it'll look a certain way on your plate. Make sure it's thinned out. Let's see if this is going to look right. Yeah, so then I'm just going to start to put that in, okay? Leaving some of that black behind, okay? I'm going to add a little more brown to mine that's brighter than I want it. Again, sometimes you have to get it on your surface before you know whether or not you like it. And then you can add little bits of white to your brush as you go to kind of create that extra streaky look, okay? Make sure you're not taking away the black. That's your shadow, that's your background, okay? Which it's kind of a hard concept. Okay, little bits of white when you want to. You don't want a whiteout situation, which can happen just like a blackout situation, so don't. Remember when I said in the beginning it's at night, but I still want it to be bright? I still want to add the brightness of what's happening in the sky. So that's why we're adding these bright elements in here. And don't worry about the center. Put some coconuts in there, okay? Make sure your paint is thin enough that you can do this quickly without being limited because your brush stroke keeps breaking. Okay. Brooklyn, you're welcome. Bud, did you sign your painting?
Yeah.
Awesome. I love it so much. Thanks for painting with me, Bud. See you later. Do I have another artist all finished? Bye, sweetheart. Thanks for painting with me. All the kiddos. I love it. How are our palm trees going, friends? Remember to add little bits of white to your brush. That'll kind of break up the blobby green look. Me? You need some one-on-one personal lesson. All right, we need a Maylee. Yep, detail brush. We've got an artist over here that needs you. Just, are you trying to get the palm trees? Okay, she's trying to get the palm trees, May. You can always show her on a plate, Maylee. Get a clean plate and show her on a plate first. Yep, that's all black. And then make sure you keep loosening up your paint as needed. It's been sitting there a while now. Remember, your green is just light in your palm trees, okay? It's just that bit of light. You want that shadow to remain. And don't try and go over the exact same fronds. That'll stress you out, okay? And then add little bits of white where you want. If you have a whiteout situation where you've added too much white, go back with the green. When I'm done with that, I'm going to use the bottom of my brush and my black paint to shape in some of my coconuts. Are you here for these cute girls? You might want to get comfortable. They are just creating away over there. Kind of scared of the palm trees. You're welcome to sit by them if you want. Or you can go listen to your podcast in the car. So I'm putting 3 coconuts in the center of each of my trees. Just using the bottom of my brush, okay? This is black paint. And I'm just swirling 3 dots in the center. That'll kind of close up the center of the tree for you, so you don't have to like look at all the... Yeah. All right. I don't know about you guys, but I need like a good yoga session now. I'm like working around this equipment, making all kinds of positions. So once your trees are done, you're just ready for windows, okay? Some of you have already started windows. I think it looks good. Stop looking at like that. If you're my younger artist, as soon as you're done, you don't have to wait for class to end. You can sign your name and go if your right is here. But I'm going to work on windows now. You can place them in exactly where I do them. You can do your own thing. These are gorgeous.
My Bethlehem has pine trees.
You
'Cause
have
that's my favorite tree.
I love it. You know what? Bethlehem is whatever it is in your mind, okay? Christ would love that. Merry Christmas. Put a star on top. You know what I mean?
If I were a tree, this is the tree.
This is
So there's
it's a happy tree. I love it. Your star turned out great.
my daughter did. No, I'm just kidding.
You just keep hey, is Dad here? Okay. Does anybody want a piece of chalk for their windows? Basically, you can just chalk it in before you paint it in. It's up to you. I'm going to go freehand with it. And just remember that these buildings were not perfect, so if you have lopsided windows, it's probably more accurate. Look at these paintings. Look at you two. You two are together here, right? Yeah, there's a big gap right here. You guys, do you guys like each other tonight?
This is how the chairs
They want to get paint all over.
Oh, yeah, this pretty pink hoodie. I think my daughter just left. She's like, I'm done. Yeah. Does she clock out? For her. They look awesome, though. Little artist.
Actually,
What's up?
I live in Hawaii, and you'd think I'd have a little better
Oh.
Perception of the tree.
You live in Hawaii. What are you doing here? All the way here? She's crazy,
swing.
yeah.
I'm from Pleasant Grove, and I love to come home for Christmas.
Oh. So, what's the relation here?
He's my son.
Awesome, son. And are you in PG? American Fork, okay. So whose idea was it to paint tonight? And you've never been here before, and you're like, I'm going to take you painting. Oh, okay. Well, now you're going to appreciate her art so much more, right? I love that. What a fun little date night with your son.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, I'm going to do windows. You guys do what you want to do. You can use your squared off brush if you want. I'm probably going to just put them all in with my detail brush so I feel like I'm in a little more control. They're all black. Make sure you just thin your black paint out. And we're just gonna go for it. I'm gonna start with one on this edge right here. She's wiped off palm trees more than once tonight. Every time I look over there, it's a new Bethlehem scene. Do you need me to show you a palm tree? I will come show you a palm tree. You're like, please come show her a palm tree. Okay, come here, look. So there's my branch, okay? I'm going to start where the branch meets, there's my tree, okay? I'm going to curve.
Okay.
Over and over and over and over and over and over.
Okay.
Go back and fill it in if you want. If your paint, part of the problem is it might be too thick.
Okay.
Water it down, because what's going to happen on there is your stroke's going to break, okay? But you literally just,
Okay, I think I'll paint over this and then just go up like this part.
mm-hmm. Some of my windows I kind of curve instead of square them off. Yeah, thin paint for the trees or anytime we use our detail brush is super critical. Let's try not to have all the windows look the same. Some of them you can see I'm doing rectangles. Sometimes I might just do a square. Let's see it, girl. I'm going to keep ignoring this until it's important. Until I get a message that's like, your kid didn't get picked up. Alright, so as you can see, I'm just windows. It might be kids. I don't recognize that number though. Oh, it's not Sarah. I could have totally. I'm not even on anymore and I don't even know it. Brooklyn's supposed to be watching for me. Alright, let's get our... Thanks for looking out for me, Robin. You're like, check your feed, girl.
Well, no, that's what happened to me over
Well, you've disappeared. How's that palm tree coming? For your larger windows, you're more than good to switch a brush and use your square brush. I'm just kind of sticking to my detail brush. You girls all finished? Nice work. Thanks for painting with me. Have a Merry Christmas.
Giant window in that one. I don't.
It looks like a
It's like one of those.
Minions.
Yeah. And so I'm like, I don't know if I can.
I
put
think what I
mine
was supposed to
between
say is it looks great, but it looks like a minion. So I do feel like you need to put.
Among Us people or whatever they're
Oh
called.
yeah, the crewmates.
So I'm like, maybe if I
Yeah,
just
put a
cover
line.
it or put a line. So
It's
it
such
looks
an
like-
easy color. Like, you could cover it or do a line. I don't know if you want to do a line because then it'll look like two bitty eyes.
But even if I do a little bit in between, it could. Well, then they'll be really close.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I would just cover it
I
up.
just kept making it
It's such
bigger
an
and bigger.
easy shade to cover up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Really, if it
Won't
doesn't
take.
match the other,
It
really
it
matter.
doesn't matter. No. Okay. Before you leave, make sure you sign your art, okay? Signatures are important. Tells the world we're proud of what we did. If you're super OCD like me, you can do a little highlight on the coconuts just to separate them. So I just kind of do a little highlight so you can see 3. Right, I got to see some of these paintings before people disappear. How you doing, Robin? Glasses on, glasses off, glasses on. That looks awesome. It's like some angles you can see, some you can't. Light's all weird. Let's see. Oh, those are awesome, girls. Thanks for painting with me. Nice job, guys. He's like, I checked it. You did awesome, and you lasted the whole class. My husband's only done like 30 minutes. He's like, I can't sit here anymore, Cammie. Yeah. Looking good. Again, if you want to switch to your little square brush to do your windows, you can. Depending on the shape of the window, sometimes I like to be in control. Sometimes the squared off brush works well. Hey, I'm done. It was my comment at the beginning of I'm going to teach a 2-hour class. And I'm like, whoops. I was vibing with the room. We were I think we're tired. I think the adults are tired. The kids are taking the energy. Yeah. All right, I'm going to close down our live. So thanks for painting with me. Bye. I'm going to walk around, see everybody's paintings. Let me know if you have any other questions, okay?